Eric, why? Why won't they unify? Why won't Democrats unify people that have gone on record as saying they want to put a bullet in their heads? Why? Why won't they unify and work in a bipartisan manner?
Boy, it's I mean, I don't want to gaslight the last 4 years because, it was important, but we are right back to the Obama years, right? The press did this for 8 years to Obama. Why can't he be bipartisan? Why doesn't he schmooze Republicans? Why can't he go golfing with Mitch McConnell? Why can't he speak their language? They're honorable, reasonable people. They want to come to the table. He's at the grip of the progressive wing. Oh my God. Remember literally before Obama was inaugurated, the first thing he did, he went to DC and he had dinner with all these conservative pundits, right? The who's who of the right-wing media. That's how willing he was. When there was early negotiation, he went up to the Hill, Obama, and met with Republican members of Congress to press his case for the stimulus, which they hated and wouldn't vote for. So we are just right back to where we were, in case folks forgot it. Biden ran on a campaign of unifying the country, as any sane, normal person would do in the wake of the Trump dictatorship, autocratic rule, whatever you want to call it, insurrection. Of course he's going to say, let's unify. He never said, by the way, I'm going to give away my agenda to the Republican Party because I'm a nice guy. And more importantly, as you point out, it looks like Democrats have learned from the Obama years, which is great. There are no honest players over there. We're not going to get bogged down in a month-long charade. I always go back to the gun bill that Obama wanted to pass after the school shooting. He worked on that for 3 months, couldn't get any support. So Democrats are looking at reconciliation now, and I think that's a great move.
Wont.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was heartened by what Joe Biden said. Take a listen. We'll talk on the other side.
I support passing COVID relief with support from Republicans if we can get it, but the COVID relief has to pass. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, good. Let's not waste time because you know what? We're in a pandemic and a recession, and there is no time to waste.
What's important and gets left out on virtually all of this news coverage, Republicans have said no to Democrats for 10 months. Yes, they passed that first COVID relief bill in March. Immediately, there was a need for a second one. Everyone knew all spring, all summer, all fall, up till now. No. The House passed a $2 trillion bill in May. McConnell wouldn't even read it. They have been blocking this, stonewalling this forever. And the press says, hey, why don't you want to make a bipartisan bill? Why won't you reach out the GOP? Now, over the weekend, we have these 10 Republican senators who said, hey, we have a deal.
Yeah, that's not even a third of Biden's, and they immediately rushed to call it bipartisan, and they're reaching out, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it would have been like if when Trump was proposing this massive corporate giveaway tax, if Democrats, came up with a plan that was 30% of that, they would have been laughed out of town. Nobody would have taken it seriously. But look, I think Biden apparently, he's going to welcome them to the White House. He wants to show he's serious. But they're still going to pass it. They're either going to pass it with them, the simple stuff, and then they're going to use reconciliation to get through the other stuff. But one way or the other, this is done. And here's the important part. This is why these 10 Republicans have a plan. Mitch McConnell protected the Republican Party on COVID relief for 10 months. They never had to vote no. And they are facing the prospect right now, all 50 senators voting no on a massively popular COVID relief bill that is going to open the vaults. It's going to send out money. It's going to save schools. It's going to save local governments. It's going to save small business. And they are facing the spectacle of all 50 saying, no, we don't want to do this. And that's why after 10 months, they are now in a panic because they never thought they were going to lose Georgia, and they never thought they were going to be in this position.
And Eric, this is why what you do is so critical, because you've said that for 10 months that we don't have COVID relief because Republicans don't want it. And the press won't report it like that. Speaking of McConnell, you said article also continues the charade that McConnell was ever in favor of impeachment. Why is the New York Times so interested in pushing alternative universe version of the GOP, which goes right to your tweet. The most important story of the Biden presidency will be telling the truth about today's radical GOP. So far, the press is failing. Thank you. And you just, this whole thing, memo to the media, GOP's Trump's reckoning is never coming. Chasing unicorns is your subheadline. I mean, you said it's a move that should have surprised nobody. It seemed to catch the DC press off guard. The Republican Party rallied to Trump's defense last week, voting overwhelmingly in favor of shutting down an impeachment trial but before it even begins. And they fall for it every time, right?
Oh, that McConnell charade a couple of weeks ago when his aides started calling reporters at the Times and everyone else saying, well, he kind of maybe is in support of, impeachment. You can't quote me and you can't quote him, but, we're going to use this very slippery language. It was a joke. I mean, anyone who follows Mitch McConnell thinks he's going to stand up to Donald Trump even after Trump leaves office?
You can't trust him as far as you can throw him. You said confirmed. There's no looming GOP reckoning over Trump, and there never will be, no matter how many times naive news outlets suggest otherwise. And you quote Mother Jones, who said, instead of coming up with policy ideas to address the pandemic and economic crisis and healthcare, the GOP has opted to combine voter suppression and appealing to racial animus to concoct a winning formula. In the aftermath of the Capitol siege, most of the party is choosing to stick with Trumpism and owning the libs as an ideology.
It's funny.
Good luck with it. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. I mean, if you go back to January 7th, January 8th, right after the insurrection, boy, the press was just sure this was the breaking point. This was it. This was it. We are going to see the leaders are running away from Trump. They're all, now we're going to have 45 senators vote against impeachment. Even after we're going to have a trial where the entire trial, Trump's lawyers are going to argue that he won the election. He is going to humiliate those Republican senators on a daily basis. They're going to sit as jurors. They thought they were going to hear an argument that it's unconstitutional to impeach a former president. No, over the weekend we find out they're going to sit and listen to 2 or 3 days of stolen election stuff, and then they're still going to vote against impeachment. The reckoning is never going to happen. The Republican Party, as we've talked about, is so radical and dangerous and extremist.
Do you think, I'm just concerned out here in California, do you feel like now that he is on the phone with his new best friend, Marjorie Taylor Greene, he will also throw in that there is, in fact, a giant Jewish space laser that started the wildfires out here in California? Will he have his attorneys argue that as well? Okay.
Yes. I mean, at this point, that's the whole QAnon thing. I mean, it becomes increasingly clear. There was a couple great specials on CNN last night, one on QAnon, one on misinformation in general. I remember watching that insurrection in real time and looking at those people, and this is a QAnon riot. This is not a Republican, this is not an NRA rally that went wrong. This is not a protect the left. This was a QAnon mob. And now we have members of Congress. I think we have Fox News hosts who are straight up QAnon. It represents the Republican Party. What's so unusual about Greene is, good reporting last week from Media Matters and CNN and other places digging up, her terroristic threats online. They weren't social media posts. These were terroristic threats. And what we've never seen before is when embarrassing things like this come up, there's no apology. There's no kind of backtracking because she is so brainwashed. She is a cult member. She can't possibly apologize. It would never dawn on her to say, well, I don't think Speaker Pelosi should be murdered because that's what she believes because she has gone to the other side.
Well, I saw that special, and it really is another subject too about the amount of mentally ill people we have. They were saying it's their whole social life, and their whole life is people that believe this, and they wish each other happy birthday and this and that, and it's just fascinating. The former QAnon guy having the conversation with Anderson Cooper, and Anderson Cooper's like, "You really thought I drank baby's blood?" And he's like, "Yes." He's like, "What? Could you tell me why? Is it something about me?" Or I mean, it's just, but have these people come back. To have these people come back, I feel like a lot of people do need to rescue their friends and family from this mental illness.
It's like watching those Scientology documentaries. It's the exact same thing. Yeah. Most people never escape. Family members never come back. That former QAnon follower he interviewed, incredibly bright guy, well-educated, articulate, not sort of the stereotype. Look. And again, the press isn't really dealing with this. They're talking about conspiracy theories and it's brainwashing. It's a cult, and it is 1/3 or 1/2 of one of the major political parties in this country.
I want to just say, I want to put you in charge of writing all the headlines in the country because you fix them for free all the time. You just said proper headline. GOP Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene says she has the support of Donald Trump as she faces criticism for past terroristic social media posts. You know, they're not controversial or, you know, as somebody was saying, like conspiracy, you know, seems to have the thing of like, it could be true.
Yes.
It's
we
like,
need better terminology. I'm not 100% sure what the terminology is, but that does not, you know, this all changed with Pizzagate. It's been 4 years now. It has become the Republican Party, and we've seen that. And Kevin McCarthy told, you know, he didn't even tell a reporter last week, but his aide told a reporter he was going to, quote, have a conversation with Greene. Oh, okay. Wow, this is getting serious. And it's funny because funny, weird, and awful. But you know, like Politico this morning in Playbook, I just tweeted this. They're kind of this both sides. You know, Democrats face a challenge. They're trying to pass massive, you know, legislation. Republicans face a challenge. One of their members thinks the speaker should be murdered. You know, see, both parties have challenges. It's like, come on.
Well, and by the way, to your point, Mark Elias, the famous, you know, election lawyer, he said, we are tracking these efforts and we will fight them in court. Republican lawmakers in state houses across the country are moving swiftly to attack some of the voting methods that fueled the highest turnout for a presidential election in 50 years. And, you know, goes to your point and Mother Jones about this is all they got. Yeah. Trump and trying to keep people from voting. They're just.
And you know, and again, the Times had a really good piece yesterday, 100 plus cases. But I always come back to this language. You know, voter suppression was never used in that story. We have to call it what it is. I mean, a Republican Party is completely upfront about what it is. We want fewer people to vote. We want fewer legitimate votes.
Right. Oh, crap. Too many people got to vote in this election. We're never going to win again if this many people get to vote. Yeah, exactly. Eric, great stuff.